Okay, so for today's presentations, we're looking at BSBWOR501B, which is Manage Personal Work Priorities and Professional Development. And we're focusing on part 2 of the unit of learning, which is around Set and Meet Own Work Priorities. If you're interested in looking at sections 1 or 3 of this learning unit, we've also got these available on our YouTube channel for you to view. So during this brief presentation, we'll look quickly at the 3 aspects of Set and Meet Own Work Priorities. Those being take initiative to prioritize and facilitate competing demands, using technology effectively, and maintaining appropriate work-life balance. Also, in this presentation, we'll be helping you link the learning materials to assessment activities 4 through to 6. So, let's look at dealing with competing demands first. Whether it's work or family, you're constantly having to weigh up competing demands. And by that I mean what to do first. Do you do the shopping? Do you do the housework? Do you cook the dinner now? Do you mow the lawn? What about that light bulb that you're placing in the toilet? What do you do first? What's most important? What can you get somebody else to do? Can you put this off till later? What simply has to be done right now? And do you have the resources to do the job? I mean, it's all well saying you've got to change the light bulb in the toilet, but have you got a light bulb to put in the toilet? In life, we go through this process, and as you can see displayed on the side, you're presented with basically 4 options. In life, you're likely to do something's really urgent, you're going to do it right away. If something's not urgent but important, you're going to plan to do it as soon as possible. Maybe if you've got an opportunity, if something's urgent but not important, you can delegate it. Maybe, you'll cook the dinner, your partner will go and do the shopping, or mow the lawn. And of course, there are those items that you come across all the time that are not urgent, not important. Now these are the dumps or postponed. These things you just get rid of. Though the funny thing, of course, is how many people spend their life in that urgent, not important area, not dumping, not postponing, trying to do these jobs and ignoring the important jobs in sectors 1 and 2. The principles apply whether this is your domestic life, your social life, or work. You're going to do it, plan to do it, delegate it, or just dump it out your life. But of course, the question you need to ask yourself is, how do you organize your time? How do you organize time so you can do these things, so you can work out these competing demands, so you can decide what's most important, what needs to be done first? Do you use to-do lists? Do you have a way of prioritizing things, so you work out which is the most important, which is the least important? Is this something you just do intuitively? I feel like you maybe just do the things you like to do first and put off those things you really don't really quite fancy doing until, of course, it's too late. Because if you put something off long enough, it goes from being important to urgent, and then you're firefighting. Often you find yourself firefighting in situations if you you could have planned your way through. Of course, there's great software out there that helps you organise your life these days. We've got apps on our phones that do everything for us. There's all sorts of spreadsheets and computer gizmos to help us along our way. Do you plan weekly, daily, monthly? Do you plan at all? Now, when you think about it, those are going to give some of the answers to the question in the activity 4. What do you do to take initiative to prioritize and facilitate competing demands? Now, you can talk in this question about your work life or your home life. It doesn't matter. Okay, the important thing is that you consider, how do you prioritize in that particular situation, work or home? Do you do to-do lists? Do you have some way of prioritizing what you do? Do you use any technology or apps that help you to do that? You know, like the alarm on your phone going off to tell you it's time to pick the kids up from school, that kind of thing. Okay? When we're talking about competing demands, it's worth for a second just looking at something we call the 80-20 principle, sometimes known as the Pareto principle, sometimes known as the 80-20 rule, or the law of the vital few. This rule simply states that for many events, roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. So, in work, 20% of your time produces 80% of your results. It's a sickening thought, but statistically it's true. 80% of your sales come from 20% of your clients. 80% of a company's profits come from 20% of its customers. 80% of a company's complaints come from 20% of its customers. 80% of a company's profits come from 20% of the time its staff spend. 80% of a company's sales come from 20% of its products. 80% of a company's sales are made by 20% of its sales staff. I mean, you hear these stats all the time, and they bear true. So when you're looking at prioritising your work time, it's important to know where you're spending your time at work, because 80% of the results is going to come from the 20% quality that you put into your work. And of course, when we're talking about prioritisation, or looking at prioritising our workload and what we put first and what we don't put first, we can't ignore the role of procrastination. Why do today what you can put off until tomorrow or next week? So goes the mantra of a good procrastinator. But literally, we all have a tendency to put off jobs and tasks we do not enjoy, that we find uncomfortable. Sometimes we just don't want to start something because we're about getting it wrong, so if we don't start it, we're going to get it wrong. And of course, there's always that tendency of doing the things we enjoy first and put off things we don't want to do. As you can see on the slide, some of the reasons we procrastinate is because these are difficult or unpleasant tasks. You know, I personally put off cleaning the toilets and the bathrooms because I don't particularly enjoy those tasks. Sometimes it's because we don't know how to start. Literally, we've not been trained, or we're not sure how to complete the task, therefore we put it off. And of course, that probably links with this one when we say fear of failure, the concept that, you know, we don't want to get it wrong, and if we don't start, we can't get it wrong, not realising, of course, by putting it off, we're going to fail anyway. It's one of the biggest hurdles in achieving personal, team, or organisational goals and objectives. People in the team procrastinating, people putting off what they should be doing straight away, not achieving the goals and targets being set because it's unpleasant. They don't know what to start. There's a bit of fear of failure, or maybe they've not been resourced. You know, if you haven't got the tools to do the job, you can't get started. You don't know who to ask for those tools. Maybe there's a communication issue. Now, some of the ways to prevent procrastination, as you can see, is to make the task a priority and do it first. Literally, to quote a guy called Brian Tracy, you've got to swallow the frog. You imagine the concept, which Brian Tracy lays out in one of his many books, that if every morning you woke up and the first thing you had to do was swallow a big, green, slimy frog, what would you do? Would you swallow the frog straight away and get it over with, so you've got the rest of the day to enjoy yourself? Or would you spend all day looking at the frog, thinking, oh my God, I've got to swallow that? It's going to affect your day. It's going to affect your performance, your efficiency, your ability, and your enjoyment of the day. So maybe some of the times you've got to just prioritise a task and get out of the way, do it first. Obviously, a good thing you can always do is give yourself an incentive, a reward for doing the job. You know, buy yourself a cup of coffee, buy yourself a bar of chocolate, treat yourself to something after you've completed the unpleasant task. And of course, sometimes you can break these tasks down into smaller parts. Maybe you're trying to do this one big task, or this big rock you've got to push uphill. Break it down into smaller rocks and attack the small rocks individually. Get the task done. It doesn't feel like it's been so big. Now, that will really help you in answering activity 4. The great thing about the world we live in, of course, is technology and how it's evolved over the years. Okay, technology is not just in our workplace; it's in our homes. Now, we own iPads or Android tablets. Everyone's got a smartphone these days, whether it's an iPhone or a Samsung or a Nokia or a HC variety. We're all used to using software, whether it's using spreadsheets on our computers, word processing software, whether we're using email, Facebook. I mean, the world's on Facebook, and Facebook is literally a software program running on the internet, which allows us to talk to people and communicate with people, maybe over-communicate at times, all over the world. We've got Skype and Google Hangouts, which gives us opportunity to non-professionals to actually have video conferencing across the world. I talk to my parents in the United Kingdom via FaceTime, which is an Apple app, all the time. We used to talk on Skype. FaceTime is easier for us. All these applications, we've got cloud applications, we've got shared software we can use so we can communicate and collaborate with colleagues across distances, share ideas, share workloads and our thoughts. All of them are great. You know, we can see on the slide, they're going to save us time. They'll synchronize across a number of devices in computers. They give us the opportunity to do detailed reporting, to share stuff with others. We don't need a lot of space. They're instantaneous, they're portable. Oh, you can go on about the pros of technology and how much it improves your lifestyle and your level of efficiency. But let's flick it around as well, you know, because when it's good, and when it's bad. Technology can be costly in terms of IT support, the cost of the software, setting it up. What about training? If you don't train people how to use the software, then they're going to get used to it. It's sometimes difficult for people to use or understand it. Certainly, you know, your older generations struggle sometimes to adapt to this new technology. And I've walked past an Apple store a number of times where I live and seen the little training sessions taking place in the store with senior citizens who, you know, want to get into this technology so they can talk to their grandkids. I have no idea where to start. As I said, IT support costs can be expensive. You can have software problems, hacking and viruses. You know, I mean, software gets updated all the time. You've got to be up to date with the stuff. We know about computer hacking and viruses. So these things can go wrong. You know, you can put all the information in a cloud, you can back it up to another server, and then you get a power failure. What do you do when there's a power failure? Okay, so as much as we can appreciate the benefits of technology and how it enhances our lifestyles, we need to recognize some of the issues with technology, and also, of course, in a working situation, have ideas and plans how we can resolve and get over those. Now, this should be pretty useful in answering activity 5, okay, which basically asks you the first question, what technology are you currently using, and the second, give you a bit of a short report on the pros and cons of using technology to manage your work priorities. When you're talking about managing your work priorities, you can't avoid the conversation about work-life balance. Now, the fact of the matter is, it's always difficult to maintain a work-life balance. We talk about it all the time, don't we? You know? But between work, family, and other commitments, it's often difficult to find me time. Often, your work goals are in conflict with your personal goals. I mean, you may be in the middle of a major project, working on intensive work, doing an intensive project which requires lots of hours, including overtime. But you've got this goal at home to spend more time with your kids and attend their football games. It's very hard sometimes to balance your work life. You know, we're in the modern world we live in now. We hear about people who've got flexible working hours. We hear about people that are working from home more. We hear about job shares, where instead of having a full-time job, you know, two people share the same job, or be working part-time. We hear, but not very often, about people who take leave without pay, 12 on extended holidays, or working for time off in lieu. A lot of people are attracted to working in the mines. With the 2 weeks on, 1 week off rosters they can achieve doing that. But the fact is that achieving a work-life balance has to be a conscious decision and involves considerable planning and discipline to achieve. And activity 6 that you're going to look at is your chance, an opportunity for you to just look at your own life in terms of work-life balance. Now here's the deal, okay? In activity 6, there's no right or wrong answers. This is your life, okay? So in the first question, you're going to be asked to look at a chart, looks a bit similar to the one on the screen at the moment, and list all the tasks that you undertake in a given day in each of those sectors. So what do you do first for yourself, personally? What do you do for your family in that given day? What do you do at work in that given day? You know, what do you do for your community, your friends in that given day? Okay, just list some of the tasks that you would perform on a given day in each of those 4 quadrants on the sheet provided in your assessment. And then the second question asks you to basically look at those segments, because those segments in the first example are just drawn 4 equal segments, 25% each. But in the real world, let's be honest, okay, do you actually allocate 25% of your time to your personal life, your work life, your family, yourself? No, you don't. The truth of the matter is, work more than likely takes up at least 50% of your time. Family probably takes up another 40%, and what left is that very, very thin sliver of less than 10% for friends and yourself. So the idea of section 2 is for you to redraw the segments, reflecting how your life is right now. And again, there's no right, no wrong answer. This is your life. In the section 3, it's a simple question. You've drawn that chart, you've put the lines in. Is that how you want your life to be? Is that the balance you want of your life? Do you want to work 80% of the time and the rest, you know, not going to your family? And if it is, if it's not right, then why not? What's wrong about it? Okay? Are you working too hard? Are you not getting enough time to spend with your family? Do you need more time for yourself? Then question 4 is going to ask you basically to redraw that chart how you'd like it to be. Okay? How ideally you'd like to see your time segmented. And then to think about how you would achieve that. And of course, the how goes back to this idea of looking at your work goals and priorities. How do you prioritize things so you create time for yourself and your family and still achieve your work goals? When we're looking at these issues, we're considering your work-life goals, work-life balance, we can't ignore the part that stress can play in your life. Stress is part and parcel of life. It's the same as breathing. Okay? It's impossible, I would say, to get through life completely stress-free. It'd be quite stressful trying to get through life stress-free. And if your work-life balance isn't right, it's likely you're going to have stress at work and home. i.e. you're at work, working flat out trying to achieve projects, while your family at home are demanding commitment from you, and you're getting stress from both ends. Now, this diagram you're seeing on the slide is telling you that, you know, the truth of the matter is a little bit of stress is a good thing, okay? It can be argued that a little stress is a good thing for you. It's when you get too much stress in your life that affects your performance and your health. So we look at this idea of optimum stress. The idea that if you've not got much stress going in your life, you might just find yourself a bit bored. You know, you're not really motivated, not really concentrating. You don't feel the need. And obviously in a high stress situation, you might just be overly anxious, unhappy, and in a very over-emotional charged situation. So there's this place we call optimum stress where, you know, it's like the Three Bears story. You know, the porridge is just hot enough, but not too hot, but just hot enough to eat. And in activity 6, you get the chance of a stress test. Okay? Again, there's no right or wrong answer in the stress test, but it's an opportunity for you to look at some of these questions and just see where stress sits with you. You know, the impact of stress can be quite minimum or overwhelming. You know, the health side effects of stress can be headaches. Maybe if it's low stress, you've been bored. It can be panic. You can get quite aggressive. You can get yourself in conflict situations. You can get forgetful. Physically speaking, some people react to stress or high levels of stress by getting lethargic. And obviously in the workplace, what's the impact? Well, People are sick, they go absent from work. It can create staff turnover, people who aren't happy in the workplace and decide to leave. Conflict situation where people are falling out and fighting. Obviously mistakes and reworks can cause accidents, and obviously at the sharp end there's going to be customer complaints. So all these have been created by stress of people reacting to their environment and finding it stressful. And of course, we've covered this again and again, but we've got internal and external causes of stress. Okay, it can be internal motivation or anger management, your attitude, ability or inability to express your emotions, maybe this issue about forgiveness. External cause of stress can literally be conflict with people you're working with, feeling under time pressure, work pressure, family pressures, social obligations. The weather can affect you. It's too hot, it's too cold. Monetary issues obviously affects everybody. Okay, and question 6, activity 6, asks you to take some research into the impact of too much stress have on work and discuss how to react to these different stresses. We don't have to go far to do your research. You can Google it, or you can literally use this slide to get you started. Because take your own observations of people around you and yourself. How do you react to stress? What gets you stressed? How do you deal with it? How do you minimize it when you feel it? Do you just roll it out? We talk in the workplace about minimizing stress. You can have job rotations, swap the jobs. If you're in a customer service role and you're getting stressed by it, maybe you need to go in the back room for a while and work in another department. Certainly regular breaks are always good. When you feel yourself under pressure, you have to step away sometimes, take a walk. In those situations where it's become too much, never refuse the help of counselling. Rest, quality sleep in the night will always help you. But taking frequent breaks in the workday is important. You've got to take some time out. Diet contributes. Okay, we've got natural biorhythms. We work better when we're eating regularly, when we're refreshing ourselves with and hydrating. We work better when we've had active exercise. There's no doubt that working against realistic KPIs, that's key performance indicators, goals. If your workplace has got unrealistic goals, then you're going to get stressed trying to achieve them. That's not good. And of course, laughter is always a great way to de-stress. Denoting as well the importance of having a good support system around you. What I mean by a good support system is people around you that care and support you. And of course, you can support them in return, whether it be your family or colleagues at work. A good support system helps minimize stress because you can share the load. And of course, your attitude and beliefs will always affect stress. Okay? We talk a lot about having a positive attitude. There's no doubt about it that when you've got a positive outlook and you see things with the glass half full, you're going to be less stressed than the guy who sees everything with the glass half empty. So, in this very short presentation, we've had a look at the take initiative to prioritise and set out complete demands. We've looked at this idea of using technology effectively, whether we're using hardware or software. And of course, we've looked at the pros and cons of the good and the bad of technology. We've briefly looked over this idea of maintaining an appropriate work-life balance and how you can personally achieve work-life balance and that role and effect of handling stress and dealing with stress. Now, if you go back through this presentation a few times, you should find all the material you need to help you complete assessment activities 4 through 6. So, good luck with that. By all means, look at the other slides we've got on the YouTube channel at the moment, which covers sections 1 and 3 as well. If you need any help at all, contact your trainer at Zero Learning. We're more than happy to help you progress with your training. So in the meantime, I'll say thank you. I look forward to catching up in the next presentation.